Good morning, everyone. This is Ben Hayes. I'm the pastor of First Baptist Church, Dadeville, Alabama, and I want to pick up where we left off last week in talking about the promises of God. I apologize that we did not have a devotional thought yesterday, but we were out with a team of men and women from our church, digging out from under the storms that we had on Sunday. We had lots of trees down, lots of limbs to carry, so we took care of about 14 families yesterday in getting their property cleaned off. We have another team out today as well, and hope that you will pray for them as they work. We had great safety yesterday and had a great opportunity to minister to a lot of families. So please just keep praying and praying for the folks that are still waiting for help, and that we would be able to get them help in some way. As you can imagine, being a pastor who does a lot of sitting behind a computer screen and visiting in homes and hospitals, which haven't done a whole lot of that in recent weeks, this old man is pretty tired and pretty beat up. And I wish I could be out with my guys today, but I have other obligations that I have to meet. But as I was thinking about last week, what I would do this week, I wanted to continue talking about the promises of God. And I had selected this passage for yesterday, and I think it's very appropriate. It comes from Isaiah chapter 40, beginning in verse 27. Let me just read that to you real quick. The prophet says this: "Why do you say, O Jacob, and speak, O Israel? My way is hidden from the Lord, and my just claim is passed over by my God. Have you not known? Have you not heard? The everlasting God, the Lord, the creator of the ends of the earth, neither faints nor is weary. His understanding is unsearchable. He gives power to the weak, and to those who have no might he increases strength. Even the youths shall faint and be weary, and the young men shall utterly fall. But those who wait on the Lord shall renew their strength. They shall mount up with wings like eagles. They shall run and not be weary. They shall walk and not faint." That's why I think that this is an appropriate passage for today, because if there's anything I need right now is to have my strength renewed physically. We all get to that point sometimes where we're just exhausted, where we just find ourselves unable to continue to do the things that we know that we need to do. Sometimes it's an emotional exhaustion, and I think a lot of people following a month of social distancing and isolation and quarantine are about at that point, not knowing when things are going to get back to normal, and what we're going to do next. And then we have these storms that came, and people here in Dadeville and Ellick City and other places are struggling to get their lives back in order. So they're physically exhausted, they're emotionally exhausted, and sometimes we even get spiritually exhausted. That's the case for a lot of people. You get tired of being good. You get tired of doing good. And you find yourself in places that you know you shouldn't be, places you don't even want to be. As the message this past Sunday on the prodigal son tells us, sometimes we find ourselves living in the pig pens of life, and realizing that things are not as good as they could be. And the result, or the response, the only response, is that we go back to the Father, go back home to where He is. But in this passage in Isaiah, I want you to understand what's going on. The people of Israel are devastated, they're demoralized. They have been overcome again and again by the enemy, and they find themselves just about ready to give up. Nebuchadnezzar, the king of Babylon, had overcome the armies of Assyria and Egypt and Israel, and now they've gone through the entire southern kingdom of Judah. They've destroyed every city. Jerusalem is in shambles. It was a mess, and the people could not figure out what they were going to do or where they were going to turn. They were exhausted physically, emotionally, and spiritually. And you can understand that, right? Back in that time, and even in our day today, there's this idea that if I am defeated, it's because my God wasn't strong enough to deliver me. But the truth is, that's not the case. Sometimes God allows ourselves in the pig pens of life. Sometimes God allows us to find ourselves in total defeat. simply because we've turned our back on him and he's trying to get our attention and call us back to himself. Well, the people of Judah and Israel needed to understand God is giving them two options here in this passage of Scripture. They could faint and grow weary, and that comes from living life in our own strength, and that always results in weariness and falling. And we've all been there, right? We know what that's like. That's why we can't maintain those resolutions we start back in January for very long. It's why we can't have that steadfast spirit that continues to move us forward in our relationship to the Father. And so, what we have to do rather than faint and grow weary is that we need to wait on His strength, because it's in the waiting that we find ourselves renewed. And here's the thing, waiting doesn't mean sitting back in your chair watching television. Waiting doesn't even mean sitting down in your chair and reading the Bible. I mean, that's good, and we ought to do that. We need to be praying, we need to be worshiping. But waiting means that we continue serving God and wait for Him to give us what we need, because He's promised that He'll supply our needs, whatever they are, physical, emotional, spiritual. And all we have to do is wait on Him. But that waiting is active. That waiting is expectant. That waiting is moving forward, even in spite of the difficulties that we're going to experience. Because here's the thing, our God is not limited by time or space or even our culture. He is the everlasting God. He's the creator of the universe. And Isaiah says He doesn't faint and He doesn't grow weary. And we can't conceive of that, because we do. We do grow weary and we do faint. But here's the thing, God has never ending resources of strength and love. Guess what? He's promising you today that He will share those with you. He will give you from His strength. He will give you from His love. And He will enable you to walk and not grow weary, to run and never faint. That's the promise that I want to leave you with today. As tired as you may be, as exhausted physically, emotionally, and spiritually as you may be, trust in Him and He will take care of you. God bless you. Have a great day.